Hello, welcome back to BlenderSushi Live Noding. Um, Today we're gonna come back to animation nodes and we're gonna focus on TextFX animations. Basically, I found this plugin. It was recommended by Georgie. This plugin TextFX is available for you to download. I don't know who created this. Maybe I'll check. So there's a TextFX. This is an add-on for Blender, but I will attempt to recreate some of the effects using animation nodes because most of them are pretty much can be done using animation nodes. If we look at the video, okay, my internet is really slow today. It's okay. I'm gonna play back a little bit. So that's kind of effects. Kind of mostly transformations, and there's a little bit of positioning, and then the wave probably, and then rotations, falling down. It's kind of nice, you know. It's kind of combinations of animations and typewriting effect. And I haven't actually tried the add-on itself. Probably worth trying if you want to do that kind of effects and don't want to worry about the nodes setup. I guess you can use this. However, I just want to check some of these effects and try to recreate it using animation nodes. I think it's a good practice. It might go into a couple of video just observing some of these effects. Yeah, probably we have like 20 or 30 effects already. Yeah, this add-on can also trigger animations using sound. Lots of them. Interesting, very interesting, and it's using this kind of panel. So add effects. It's kind of just like a, almost like a filter. It has a lot of potential actually. What's interesting is how if we try to recreate some of this in animation nodes and maybe do a little bit more, it might seems much complex when using animation nodes, but let's do it anyway. Let's start with there's a bunch of transformation effects here. So let's create one. This is the scaling effects, and then with a bit of wobble. Let's jump to animation nodes. Go to compositing. Let's hide the lamp and the light. Delete cube. Let's create just a text object, and that's the default text object. Let's make the screen bigger. Text, we're gonna leave it just as default. Let's go to animation nodes, create a new node 3, and okay, with a show you really quick with the text text object output with an incremental value going up. You can use a quick one using frame. This is kind of obvious. You're just gonna grab the text object, and then this is the frame number. Gonna pick off the always and change by just trigger by frame change, so it's a bit faster because I'm recording as well, and then it tends to get a bit slower. So we have the text object in 3D scenes, and then I grab it using the text object output, and now we can change the size. Turn on this. Okay, change the size, and then we can extrude it so it's become 3D. And obviously we can type anything here like that. Or if you want like incremental value, you can use frame. Frame is actually a floating value. It has a like a decimal. If you don't want the decimal, you can just convert it into integer, float to integer. So that's incremental number. You can use Python to continue editing the value just to get what you want. I think if you use expressions and there's a Python expression that make it so that you have like a zero, like a digit like that, 001, 002, 003. I'm not gonna do that now, but that's an incremental number. You can use frame. Okay, let's continue. This is still a live text object. You can change it. Live text. So that's the cool thing about text objects in Blender. With animation nodes, if you want to do the scaling and wobble effects, let's see how we can do that. We just go to text and then use object separate. This is actually only work for text objects at the moment. We can have just the text or the curve or the mesh. Let's do it just for the text, and it's gonna break out each of the character of this text into separate objects so we can animate it. Let's get this text as a source, and then we don't need the material. We can change the origin of this text object when it's get broken down into characters. Origin to geometry, and then click on update. So now it's live. It jumps a little bit. Maybe, yeah, that's okay. Doesn't matter. Just a little bit. You can hide the relationship lines. Now we have just the text ready to be animated. Okay, so in order to animate this bunch of objects, we of course need to use loop. So we have, as we can see here, there's a faded black. That means we have a bunch of them. It's a list. So let's loop through each one of them. Tap W and then loop through text object. And now we are inside the loop. Inside the loop we can do anything. Let's try with the scaling. We use object transform. Not object transform, input object transforms output, and plug in our object. And here of course we can start doing scaling and locations, etc., etc. If I just want to show you, if you turn on the location and then suddenly you get surprised that all the object goes back to 0, 0, 0, that's because now the animation node is controlling it inside the loop. For each of the objects we have 0, 0, 0, and you don't want that. You probably think, okay, maybe I just random. If you use a random vector and then use the index plug into the seed, plug in the vector into location, you get, okay, that's even kind of more random. If that's what you want, that's fine, but really it's a text and it has a content. We can't just randomize it. So what can we do? We use okay, you think, okay, maybe use line and then have a look at the result. Plug in the vertices in there. Okay, the index, use that index. Well, it's kind of doing it, but of course you don't want to do this really. You want the text to have to goes into their original positions, and in order to do that, let me quickly do this TextFX. In order to do that, we just need to use the object ID key. So for each object, animation nodes actually has this original positions stored inside the object. So if you plug in the object in there and then choose the ID key and then just find transform, initial transform, now we actually have the positions, the original position, rotation, and scale of each object. So that's super useful. Now we are back to the original. Of course, at this point we can go back to the original text, which is currently hidden. It's that guy. We can turn it on and then select that guy and then change it to animations, for example. And then we have to update, and now it's good. We can continue working of this guy on this guy. Okay, so this is important, object ID key. That's okay. We position our objects, and let's do something with the scale now. With the scaling, you can of course animate it like that. Whatever you do, you can use the vector animate. So maybe it begins at 000 and ends at 111, and then plug it that in there, and the time is gonna be if we use just frame is gonna go from 1 to 0, 0 to 1, and then continue on until it's finished. And animate, any nodes with animate is handy because it has the durations, and it's very easy if you want to delay the time, and it has the interpolations, but it's only doing it for 2 different values. You might wanna use mixed vector list instead. So that's kind of more advanced animations where you have a bunch of like a state. So currently with the animate vector we only have 2 state. Of course you can piggyback this node as well, I believe. So but this is like simple, from 0 to 1, duration is 20 frames, and then you play it back. Okay, it's doing it. That's really nice. Maybe you want it, maybe duration's just 5, and then you want to wobble it, just bounce, something like that. That's really fast. So that's kind of bounce. You can, there's a wobble which is elastic. So it's kind of overshoot, and then finally it hits 111. So that's nice. You might also want to delay the time, and to test it you can use the index. It's gonna delay each of the object animations by 1, so we get that kind of effects. That's pretty much with the scaling. You can do a lot of things. You just need to try it. You can mix the location, rotation, scale, and get a different kind of effects. Maybe I'll unplug this and then try using vector list. Time, we have the delay, and we have the repeat off for now. Well, save as new version, but we need to provide some vector list. So let's do that. Vector list. We can just vector input. So we need to provide a list of state of the animation. So if we just wanna make the text grow just like this from 000 to 111 in scale, we can do the same thing. So we get a, looks like almost kind of the same effect, but it's actually, it looks like a typewriter effects. What's happening here is actually because with mixed vector list, it's only the time goes from 0 to 1, while with the animate vector, the time is get remapped depending on the durations. Here, in order to make it wobble, we need to remap the time as a vector. So let's try map range. So the time gonna go from what to what, but time goes from 0 to 1 to 3, like it's jumping. But if we map the range of time, let's say make this from 0 to 10, the output's gonna be from 0 to 1, we're gonna get that effects. Although we might wanna increase the output max. Oh, it's currently a linear. Maybe make it wobbling using elastic. Let's see, have a look. Maybe the output max. Try 1 and see, have a look. We can offset the time as well. Math. Offset the time by -5. So nothing's gonna happen for 5 frames, and then oops, offset the time. No, it's really multiplying. There you go, that's what I wanted. We could have effects where we can like have like multiple effects, like multiple states of the scale of each objects. So instead of from 0 to 1, maybe we can have from 0 to random scale and then to 1. Or, oh yeah, let's try random vector, save, index to seed, and then vector to the random. So we get a random value here. Let's see what it looks like now. Seems to jump to random. See, that's much more complex kind of effect already. From 0 to random to 1. Maybe we can try the output min and max to different value. Well, actually it should be from 0 to 1. The durations can be longer for each one of them, because I think mixed vector list will the factor will go from 0 to 1. This probably, I'm just gonna change it to linear. Zero random number, then settle to final scale, which is just 1. So that's scaling. Scale also, if we turn off the delay, let's see. So I just cut. Maybe I just cut this, so it doesn't have delay anymore. So that's a random scale. So from 0 to random scale to 1. We could of course make it so that instead of random, it's probably only scaling in Y, for example. So scaling up and then settle. That's also a different kind of effect. Yeah, even just with scaling, we can have something that's quite complex, and we can always change the text, goes back to original text and change it to anything. So scale, we've done scale. Now we can move to location. The idea, of course, with all kind of the text effects like this, we want the text kind of to do like a either from the initial state and then it's kind of dancing and then back to initial state, or kind of keep continuing dancing, or the text kind of revealing itself in an interesting way. So that wave effect is really nice. It does this wave effects and then it settles. That's really nice. You can do that using animation nodes, but I have I probably need to think on how to do that. And then what's really cool about this is all the effects is kind of combined. So it goes to one state, second, third, and then goes into the next effects. So that's probably something you can do. It's a little bit more advanced, I guess. Kind of need to continue from one state to another. The wave effect is easy to do. Let's do the wave effect. In the position. So maybe I'll save this and then continue. I can start from scratch. Not like super scratch, but I can delete all this or put it aside. This is all the scaling stuff that's happening. Now the text back to initial state, back to the default. We have the initial object ID, initial transforms, location, rotation, scale. To make the text wiggling, of course, you already know we need to just push the text from initial state. Just push it using vector wiggle. Plug this to the seed. The evolution is gonna drive the wiggle. Vector math is gonna mix this on the initial state and then the wiggle vector. There's a lot of wiggle. L, inserting them and put it aside. That's a lot of wiggle value, maybe too big. I'll scale down the amplitude to 1. So that's wiggle. I'm gonna use frame, plug into the wiggle. Wiggle node is really handy because it has speed control as well. We don't need to multiply the frame, we can just control it using speed. And can continue wiggle, just wiggle it slightly. That's kind of nice effect. If you're doing all the animations procedurally using nodes, at some point you want to kind of create your own parameter or attributes that's controlling the animations. So now it's wiggling, maybe. So if we know that if we are reducing the speed, eventually it's gonna settle. Oh, maybe not in the speed, but it's more like we can use like a math to stop the effects. So this is the wiggle value that we add and mix with the initial transform. If you add the math in there, and then the math is a multiplier, so if it's 1, the effects is full. If it's 0, we stop the effects, kind of settling down. So these we can add as a parameter, say like let me quickly create just plug in this guy into there and name the parameters kind of like wiggle effects. And wiggle effects, it's we can do it in, turn it to 0, increase it in X, and you get that kind of wavy effects for each object. Turn it off, increase it in Y, and you have these effects, kind of like it's actually noise value going through the wiggle. You can increase it, so you give this control to animators, and they will understand what to do. That's a Z. Or you can turn it all at the same time. It's wiggling, and then the animators can keyframe it, and then okay, the effects now goes to 0 and it settles. This list can grow really quick. This wiggle effects, for example, maybe you want to give like more like a wave instead of like a noise. Noise goes like this, but wave goes more like that. It's a sine wave or cosine wave. This is noise. Noise actually more a little bit random, deterministic. It's not random. Random is like that. Anyway, let's get rid of the grease pencil. Let's save this. So I'll show you how you can turn on and off, giving a control into that node. So next time you want to do these effects, you just have like a bunch of risks. In fact, you probably can recreate all these test effects, and it's gonna be just like a node, like a really long list of nodes. If that's what you want, really, or just use this add-on. I think this add-on is really nice too. Wiggle effects. Let's create something new. Call it. This is gonna be. I don't know what's gonna be yet. Maybe another scale. Let's make the text goes in like a wave kind of motion. It's time info vector wiggle. That's initial object position. Let's do the back to initial position. Let's give it a like a wavy kind of effect. Wave, you can use a sine, math, sine. So now it's a little bit more abstract, and you probably don't know where to start. I think it's a good idea to just use a vector math, and let's add from this is initial position, and we can of course animate this guy whatever we like. Let's move this text up and down like this. Let's have a look how we can do that. Up and down is actually a sine. So there's a math function called sine, and if we plug in the frame into the sine, and the output is going to be floating value between -1 and 1. Let's have a look. Debug this debug drawer and playback the time. See the value as if going up and down really quickly. I could slow it down. Math. Slow it down like 0.1. It goes up to 1 and then goes down to -1 and goes up again to 1. That's a sine. It's a basic function, and we can use this number into any of this x, y, z. Let's try it with y first. So vector input, actually not vector input as we don't have the slot. Use a combined vector. Now we have separate x, y, z slot. Plug in this sign into the y and then plug this into that guy. Now we have text that's going up and down. Okay, that's pretty clear. What we can do next is kind of stagger the effects. We could use the time delay time. So plug the time in there and delay it by 1, and time goes in there. Now the animation goes in the wave kind of animation. We could increase the time or play with the delay. So delay and then use math for the index delay. Why do we have separate vector here? Okay, I plug in the wrong thing. Index should go into the delay, but index number is like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so we can use math to kind of control the delay. So now we get something like that. But really, you probably don't want to, in order to mix all of this, like the wiggle with a wave, you don't want to delay. Time delay can be for the final effects, but maybe we can kind of delay, have kind of offset inside this sign. Well, actually, that's probably all right. We know that this is controlling the speed. That's controlling the delay. They're kind of affecting one another. And now, if you want to mix the delay and the wiggle, we can use math, another math, because in the end, it's gonna be the final value for the vector for each location of this character object anyway. So you can mix it using math. So this is initial positions mixed with this wave animations, and now stop this. We can further mix this with wiggle. That's the wiggle, goes in there. So now it's wave. Where's the wiggle? It's all 0, 0, 0. Turn the wiggle in Y. Now we have wiggle in Y. It's still waving, and then we have Y. Now they're kind of, looks like they're drifting on top of ocean water, kind of. with the sine, we can of course use another mixer. So it's only waving in Y. Let's use another math here. Multiply, and this is gonna be, it's gonna turn on and off our wave. I could make it so that it's waving in all directions. So instead of having the multiply there, I can have something like this. I think it might seem complex now, but after a while you kind of know what it's doing. I'm just separating the X, Y, Z, and for each one of them we really can have like a mixer, which is just another multiplier. Multiply and then just turn it into a node. So that's goes there, let's go there. Wait a minute. Is that a single value? That's a single value, that's a vector. You just need a single variable math, normal math. Plug in there. This go in there. That goes. That's the X. That's the Y, and one more for the Z. All these noodles. Oh well, so let's have another controller for sine. It's gonna be vector. It's gonna be sine, wave, or just wave effects, which is a sine. So you just type in sine wave effects, and this is a vector. I'm going to have a vector separate vector node, and then that's for X, Y, and Z, and that's plugged in there. Now we have a zero effects on the animations. Let's increase the sine wave in Y, so that's doing it. Or if you want the sine wave in X, it's gonna work like that, or in the Z, and we can wiggle it, so it's kind of mixing the two. And so we got something that's kind of looking complex with the noodle inside node 3, but really it's pretty simple, you know. But you can show this to your friend that never used nodes, and then they will they will get surprised, because with a node, really, if you're working from scratch, you probably can understand it easier than just you add layers by layers, like a complexity. Yeah, so anyway, we can tidy up all these combined vectors. This is just a sine wave. Just multiply. Looks complex, but not really. All the math is simple and logical. That's for the scale. If we are just wanna animate from one state, like the text is not showing on the screen, to another state where the text is all in the final positions and they're settling, or with a position with the locations I show you how you could wiggle and wave the text animations. There are plenty more here. I guess I'll have a look and give a little bit more study. Like the sound, actually, the sound effects is kind of simple as well. It's just like trigger using sound, and then it moves the text between two states. And then this text kind of rotating and then drop downs. That's nice, really nice effects. It's cute. The wave, we already know how to do it. Randomness is actually really simple. It's already provided by animation nodes. Wiggle, we got that happening. Effect synchronize. Yeah, let's see. Maybe I'll make another video to cover more of these effects. It's actually fun exercise to do. I recommend you to just do it yourself. Start from scratch. After you watch this video and then you feel challenged and then, hey, I can do much better than that. That's all basics. And so please try that anyway. Show it to me if you've done something with this. If you like this video, you can leave comments, and subscribe to this channel, and I'll make more video. Thank you very much for tuning in. I'll see you in the next video. Maybe we cover more about TextFX and do more than just what the TextFX can do, because we can. Okay.